ABC's Gio Benitez covers aviation. He leads us off from Toronto tonight.
Tonight, this stunning new video showing the moment that Delta Airlines flight crash landed in Toronto. Investigators now reviewing the images. Its landing gear appearing to collapse. The right wing striking the ground, sparking flames. The plane flipping onto its back. A cloud of black smoke rising into the air.
We hit the runway extremely hard and we kind of popped up and it felt like we were leaning to the left. There was a giant firewall down the side. I could actually feel the heat through the glass. And then we were going sideways. I'm not even sure how many times we tumbled, but we ended upside down. I was hanging there in my seatbelt upside down.
The footage obtained by TMZ showing the Delta regional flight from Minneapolis touching down yesterday afternoon. Passenger John Nelson describing the harrowing moments inside, suspended by his seatbelt. At this point now, you're literally hanging upside down in this plane.
I didn't want to hit my head. I wanted to make sure, I could stay safe as much as I could and just hold on and hope that we made it through that.
Everything, drop it!
Flight attendants
Come on.
Seen standing on the ceiling of the plane, helping passengers scrambling to escape. Nelson shooting this video moments after the crash.
We're in Toronto. We just landed. Our plane crashed. It's upside down. Fire department's on site.
At least 21 people injured, including a child. Patients treated for back sprains, head injuries, headaches, and nausea. But miraculously, all 80 passengers and crew were alive. For everyone to have survived this, what does that mean to you?
I think I'm still processing it. It's when you see the videos and you live through it, like nobody should have to go through that. It's crazy.
At the time of landing, winds gusting up to 40 miles per hour. The cause of the crash, though, still under investigation. The plane's charred fuselage now sitting frozen on the runway for examination. And tonight, that flight crew and those first responders who escorted everyone to safety hailed as heroes.
Every time you board a flight, you are greeted by flight attendants and by flight crew. We saw the most important role that they play in action yesterday. The crew of Delta Flight 4819 heroically led passengers to safety. I thank each and every one of these heroes.
And David, tonight so many focusing on what those passengers did right, wearing those seatbelts, listening to the flight attendants, getting out of that plane fast and leaving that luggage behind, all of it likely saving lives. David?
All right, Gio Benitez leading us off here tonight. Gio, thank you. And as Gio pointed out there, investigators will be looking very closely at this new video that's emerged of the plane just moments before it crashed. ABC News consultant, retired Colonel and pilot Steve Ganyard has studied the video. And Steve, thanks for being here again tonight. We see in this video the Delta jet approaching the runway. The approach appears somewhat normal until those final moments. What do you see and what do you make of the landing gear?
Yeah, David, in this extraordinary video, in the last 50 feet or so, it looks like they're doing a great job. It looks like a very normal approach. The airplane is stable. They're not fighting it, even though the winds are high. So it looks like it's going to be a great landing. We watch it all the way till it gets to about 10 or 20 feet above the ground. It's still a very normal landing. Then something happened in those last 10 or 20 feet where a big rate of descent developed for some reason. Could have been a couple of factors. Could have been pilot error. Maybe the crew didn't flare the airplane, pull back on the stick and cushion the landing. It could have been wind shear. Or maybe they just touched down hard and there was some sort of a mechanical failure or a defect in the landing gear. But at that point, it's that 20 feet above the runway where this mishap began to occur.
And Steve, I know you also studied the plane once it crashes into the runway and actually rolls. What stood out to you there?
Yeah, I think what's really interesting there, David, as it crashed, we saw that the right main landing gear gives way. You see the snow getting kicked up. It leans on the right wing. It punctures the fuel tank, and it begins to burn. And as it begins to burn, it skids to the right. At that point, the left wing is getting enough air over it that it flips the airplane up onto its back. But as you and I have talked about, the good thing here is that the wings held most of the fuel. And as those wings got ripped off, that fireball stayed behind the cabin. So two parts of the miracle here. One is that the cabin remained intact, didn't break up. And the second was that the fireball did not get burned or was not able to burn the cabin.
Yeah, that was certainly part of this miracle. And so bottom line here tonight, Steve, we know these pilots might have been dealing with crosswinds, which can be very challenging, but pilots do encounter these wind gusts. And in addition to the pilots in those final moments, the landing gear, two significant questions tonight.
Yeah, David, I think the key here is that what happened in those last 20 seconds. This certainly was varsity weather, but the crew, frankly, should have been able to handle it. So what happened in that last 20 seconds? Why did that rate of descent occur? And why did the airplane hit the runway so hard will be what the investigators really are going to look at first.
Colonel Steve Ganyard back with us here tonight. Steve, thank you. We turn next tonight to this new winter storm and the brutal cold. 100 million Americans across 25 states now on alert tonight. This new storm, snow and ice from Montana down to Texas, all the way to the east to the mid-Atlantic. And the wind chills, it felt like 21 below in Chicago. It'll feel like 1 degree in Dallas. Ice-covered roads in Oklahoma City, a semi-truck sideways on Interstate 40. Whiteout conditions in Oswego County, New York. Lake-effect snow right through tomorrow morning. Ginger Z timing it out in a moment, but first ABC's Faith Abube with the images as this barrels across the country tonight.
Tonight, icy wrecks all over the heartland as a massive winter storm slams the country. In Oklahoma City this morning, freezing rain turned roads to ice rinks. Watch as this Lowe's truck spins all the way around, fishtailing before regaining traction. This on-ramp just too icy for that truck to get up. A big rig blocking traffic on Interstate 40.
You can see the backup behind him.